And then, for example, like Magic is a generational type of player. 6'9" can play the point guard. He was a big point guard for that time. I mean, still would be a big point guard, right? But like Angel, respectfully, is not generational. Caitlyn,
I don't.
respectfully,
I
is
was gonna
not
say.
generational.
I don't think she is either.
She's not. Nobody in this draft class is a generational player, and that's respectfully. Like, do they move the needle? Absolutely. But we're talking about a generational talent. Nobody in this draft class is a generational talent.
I don't think people really know what generational is anymore.
They don't.
No,
In sports,
they don't know the true definition.
period.
They throw
Like-
that term around a lot when it comes to a great player.
Like to me, how do you gonna call? Like, how you gonna say LeBron and Wemby are generational, and then turn around and say somebody else is? Like, them two are like, you can't tell me Wemby is generational, then you tell me somebody else in the next draft is generational.
Right.
It don't work that way.
Right.
Like, you know
Like
what I'm saying?
generational is the sense of the word. This happens like once
Right.
every decade or every
Like once in a lifetime type player.
Right. Yeah. Right.
What do people be confused with this shit is? Like, you can't, like you said, respectfully to the young ladies, we've seen players like Angel Reese. We've seen players like Caitlin Clark. So it's like, I'm with you, Nick. Fuck that comparison.
Right.
Fuck that shit.
Honestly, the only
comparison.
W player, and there might be more, but the only W player that I can think is actually generational is Candace Parker.
Yes.
I can't think of, I mean, there might be some other ones that I can't think of right now, but Candace Parker is the one that comes to my head.
Say it again. Man. Say it a little louder. Who?
Candace Nicole Parker.
Oh, all right, man. I just want to make sure the audience heard. I just want to make sure the audience heard because y'all be playing on my ghost name for real.
No, for real. How many people say they watch women hoops because of Candace Parker?
Absolutely.
You hear it all the time, so that's really generational.
Think about all the records. Like, you know how many records was since Candace Parker? It's crazy.
But people wanted to rate her most overrated in 2019.
I hated that.
Anybody in the league that rated her overrated, at me, please, because I want to compare careers.
You're low one all the smoke.
I'm gonna pull up your career stats, and I'm gonna pull up her career stats, and let's just have some fun.
No, that was some insane shit though. Like, how do people watch sports and then? Well, first of all, we know they don't watch, but how can you act like you watch sports and then say you can watch highlights and see Candace Parker is now overrated?
Well, they was just hating because she's beautiful and she's talented. That's just hate. It's literally nothing else. Like, she's making money outside of basketball. She don't got to go. They just hate. It'll be way off topic, but I do agree that it needs to be a conversation had about generational talent because people see a good player. It's okay to just be a good player. That's great. Like, you perfected your skill. But when we say generational, this is not happening again in our lifetime. This is something that we've never seen before. So like Wemby, right? Not even necessarily like, so yes, we're talking about his game, but he hasn't played enough professional games for some people to feel comfortable with saying he's a generational player. But when you look at this kid, when you look at his body type, when you look at the things that he can do at, how tall is he? 7'9", 7'6", 7'9",
7'3", 7'4", something like that.
Super tall, right? I think 7'4", 7'6". Anyway, when you see what he can do, he's literally as tall as a center, but has guard-like skills. We have not seen someone as big as him with guard-like skills like that before.
Hell, he's taller than the average center.
Literally.
No, facts.
And he's literally like, that is a generational talent. When you talk about generational talent, Simone Biles, we'll never see that again. And at least in our lifetimes, like, we'll probably never, she's one of one. Like, you have to be one of one to be a generational talent, in my opinion.
Facts.
And people argue me down on Twitter. Angel Reese is generational. Bro, generational players don't shoot from their hips. Stop.
Listen, generational jumps off the screen. I don't know, because this conversation, you can go there's so many different ways, but I just had a conversation with somebody on Twitter about some receivers, and there was a receiver that got drafted, and he's generational. Everybody call him that. His dad is a Hall of Fame, but he's generational. It jumped off the screen at college.
Yeah.
There's other receivers that got picked after him, but people were trying to call this next receiver off the board generational. I said, wow.
Yeah.
Like, what? How? You can't tell me there's two generations in the same draft.
But to be fair, like, when it comes to the W, like, it's a lot of new fans because they don't go back and do the history. You know what I'm saying? They don't know about a lot of like the previous players that came before, the Caitlin Clarks and the Angel Reeses. So this is pretty much their introduction to women's basketball. So therefore, they're seeing what they're seeing now, and they're seeing what Caitlin Clark did at college and what Angel Reese did in college. They're looking like, oh shit, this is the next big thing. This is generational. But in hindsight, like in the past 28, 29 years, there's been a lot of great W players that came before them.
But if you don't know the history, how do you put your lips together to call somebody generational?
Listen, that's another thing. Now I get it. I'm a little bit older, so we didn't have no computer. But my thing is, I would go back. I would watch tapes. I would go find things.
Bro.
I would read stuff, all type of stuff.
That's
now listen, there's so many people. There's so many like,
bro, come on, man.
In Nick's age group.
Jesus.
Nick's age
I mean, she ain't
group,
wrong though.
And Nick ain't like this, but they don't in all genres of music, sports. They be like, I ain't never seen this. I don't know who this person is. I'd be like, man, how are you having a conversation with me, debating me on hoops, and you ain't even, you started watching, I've had somebody argue me with hoops who started watching basketball when Derrick Rose got drafted. You can't argue me nothing before 2008. Like,
basically.
You can't, and if you don't go, and that's what, you can if you go back and do research, but they don't. They openly and say, I don't know who that is. I've never seen that. How? Maybe y'all got too much access to stuff. Like they got YouTube and shit. Like we didn't have all that. So I guess maybe that's why they feel like they don't need to do that. I don't know what it is, but I feel like you need to do research before you have these conversations. I'm not saying I know everything, but I watch and I go do research.
Right. So like even for me, right, like Cheryl Miller, who's a great player. I wasn't old enough to watch her play when she was playing for USC and stuff like that. So I went back and looked. I really enjoy the game of basketball, so I watch it all the time. So like when I say, when I'm calling someone a generational player, it's coming from research. It's coming from me watching hours of basketball games. Like I think it's just a term that's overused and people truly don't know what it means. But it makes it lose its like authenticity. Like the word doesn't really mean what it should mean because people throw it around so loosely.
Even the word goat the same way.
Agreed.
Oh my God.
Agreed.
Oh my God.
How you got 5 people in the GOAT conversation is one GOAT.
Oh, this is even better. How you keep putting people in the top 10 but don't take nobody out.
Facts. That's my favorite.
Exactly. Maybe like 80 people in the top 10. What? Or top 20.
Take nobody out.
Right.
Everybody got their mom in the top 10, but then you had to know to tell me maybe ain't top 10. Don't get me started on that because that shit pisses me off.
Don't get me started either.
Switching gears.